Hello, everyone. I hope you're enjoying this research project so far. I hope you're enjoying growing your own mushrooms, making your own tempeh, and learning just in general about fungi. And today I want to take a moment to talk about how important fungi are in our everyday lives. For example, you may already know this or not, but to make bread, we need fungi because the yeast are fungi to begin with. A lot of people don't know that, but you need yeast to actually make the dough rise and to actually get those delicious and fluffy breads that we like so much. A lot of fungi are involved in the process of cheese making. So especially those very rich cheeses, very flavorful ones. Some people think they're gross. I think they're delicious. Fungi are involved in the making of those kinds of cheeses. Actually, if you were to take a sample from this cheese right here and you look at it under the microscope, you would see spores of penicillium, which is usually the fungus that is used to make Roquefort cheese. Another important use of fungi on our everyday lives is wine and beer. Well, I don't personally drink every day, but a lot of people do. And again, yeast are the ones that are responsible for the making of beer and the making of wine. Soy sauce is also a fermented product of fungi. I didn't know this, but I have a 4-month-old baby at home. And the other day I was checking the ingredients in the formula that we feed him. And I saw this ingredient and it said Mortariella alpina. And I was like, that sounds familiar. So then I looked it up and then I found out that Mortariella alpina, which is a fungus, makes this very rich and nutritious oil that it's added to baby formula. And then I started to look at other baby formulas, and it happens that all of them have the oil that's produced by this one fungus. Aside from that, we eat not only bread or cheese or beer, but we eat other forms of fermented products by fungi or just the fungi themselves. So here we can see tempeh, what you are working on making, but then we also eat the fruiting body of the fungi. You know how fungi have mycelium, that's what you're seeing on your blocks. So all of the threads and all of the matte, whitish matte that you see on your blocks, that's the mycelium. Some mycelium, when it's ready, they will produce mushrooms, which are also known as fruiting bodies. And those are the ones that we usually eat. And there's many different forms, and many of them are edible. And some of us use them on our everyday diet. And then even for making chocolate, the fungi are involved in the process of fermentation of the cacao beans so that we can have that delicious chocolate that many of us really like. And fungi have been very important in general in terms of the history of our society. For example, it is thought that 100,000 years ago, in theory, Paleolithic humans or their ancestors recognized that leaving fruit in the bottom of a container for an extended period of time led to alcohol-infused juices. And they didn't really know why or what the mechanism was, but they just knew that that was something that you could do. And then, for example, some of the recorded history and the use of fungi for beverages and for food. It's documented 25,000 years ago in the Venus of Lossel that you can see here in this picture. This was found in the French Upper Paleolithic cave. And it is a carved representation of a woman holding what looks like a cornucopia or a bison horn core, I'm sorry. And some scholars have interpreted this as a drinking horn, because usually back then people would drink alcoholic beverages in these shaped containers. And it's not only about, alcohol, but also fungi have played an important role in religious rituals of many ancient and current cultures. So for example, many cultures have used hallucinogenic fungi in religious rituals in order to make contact with the gods. For example, the Aztecs and the Mayans. The Aztecs, here you can see one of their gods, Xochipilli. This is the god of art, games, dance, flowers, and song. And throughout Xochipilli, you can see that there's a lot of carvings. And throughout their body, you will find certain forms that belong to mushrooms. And it is thought that the Aztecs would consume certain hallucinogenic fungi and they will pray to Xochipilli. And then very similar practices were done in the Mayan culture, and that you can see here Mayan mushroom stones from Guatemala, where Mayans would shape stones in the form of mushrooms, which has led scholars to believe that mushrooms were an important part of their culture. And even we can see some other forms of ancient uses of fungi. For example, in this carving right here, you can see, well, it's carving / painting. It's an ancient Egyptian painting, and you can see that this Egyptian person is holding what looks like rose bread. So as you can see, human society has evolved together with fungi as a very, very important part of our society. And the importance of fungi in our history and its relation to food has also been interesting. And there's some very interesting theories on how fungi has impacted our history. For example, right here, you can see a fungus. This is known as ergot fungi growing on rye. Ergot fungi is a group of fungi of the genus Claviceps. And the most prominent member of this group is Claviceps purpurea. And this fungus grows on rye and related plants, and it produces alkaloids that can cause ergotism in humans and other mammals who consume grains contaminated with its fruiting structure, which is this one right here. And when that happens, ergotism causes hallucinations. In fact, LSD, the drug, is extracted and purified from ergot. So there's a theory that says that the woman of the Salem witch trials could have been poisoned by rye contaminated with ergot, and that in fact the hallucinations and other things they claimed they saw were really hallucinations caused by ergotism because they consumed contaminated rye. So this is a very interesting theory that has some people support it, some other people don't, but it is a possibility. There's also a very interesting connection between Santa Claus and mushrooms. Originally, the figure of Santa Claus came from the Nordic countries. In this region, Arctic shamans used to dole out psychedelic mushrooms as part of their winter solstice celebration. And they dressed in red clothing with white spots, very similar to the mushroom amanita, which is this one right here, which amanita is not an edible mushroom. It's actually poisonous, but it is it has been documented that the shamans would dress that way and that it was similar, or it has been pointed out that it was similar to the amanita mushrooms. Another interesting connection between mushrooms and the tradition of gifting at Christmas time is that most people put up an evergreen tree inside their homes to mark the holiday, a pine, artificial or natural or whatever, and then gifts are wrapped and placed underneath the tree. And mushrooms also tend to grow at the base of trees where decaying organic matter can feed the fungi. And it also, if you think about the traditional colors of Christmas, it's usually red, white, which are also the traditional colors of Amanita. And you can Google this. There's a lot of theories and background information making connections between Santa Claus and the mushroom Amanita. It's actually quite interesting to look into that. And aside from that, fungi keep coming up in popular culture in different parts of the world. In Mexico, there's a saying that says, "Ya nos cayó el chahuizle." And you would say this when someone ruins or interrupts your plans, or when something doesn't go as planned and it's just overall ruined. You say that, like, "Ya nos cayó el chahuizle." And what is el chahuizle? So a chahuizle, as you can see it right here, it's a fungal disease that infects corn, the corn plant, and that for hundreds and hundreds of years, it devastated corn crops in pre-Hispanic communities like the Aztecs. And chahuizle comes from the word Nahuatl chahuitzli, which means the disease of the leaf of corn. And you can see that right here, the chahuizle, which is still a very common name for this disease in Mexico, it's caused by the fungus Puccinia triticina. A lot of scientific names have very complicated meaning, but for hundreds of years, this fungus and other related fungi devastated crops in pre-Hispanic communities, and there's still a problem. And I just find it very interesting that the saying "Ya nos cayó el chahuizle" in Mexico originated, back in the Aztec culture, and it's something that we still use up until today. However, not everything has been fully negative. Maybe some of you are familiar with huitlacoche. This is also a fungus that affects the corn cob, and you can see here it totally deforms the grains of the corn. And this is also a fungus. It's called, the common name is the huitlacoche, but the organism that causes this disease is Eustillagomades. And for those of you who haven't tried huitlacoche, it's actually super, super delicious. So it looks really gross, and it looks like something like devastating that happened to the corn, but it's actually super, super delicious. And huitlacoche was also found and was thought to actually be quite a delicacy. And this idea that this practice of eating huitlacoche, which is a fungus, also dates from back when the Aztecs and other indigenous people from pre-Hispanic America recognize how good this fungus was when it happened to colonize the corn. And currently there's many uses for fungal mycelia in general. So aside from the ones that I showed at the beginning, just the industry of fungi and of mycelium-based material, it's really exploding. So here I just put a few examples of what I'm talking about. So this right here is a mycelium-based leather. So it's really kind of like it's like a fake leather that's made of mycelium. And you can see here a few things that have been made out of this material. You can see like a wallet, you can see a watch, some sort of like bag, a very promising material. Actually, Adidas recently made this shoe that's completely biodegradable because it's made with with mycelium. So all of this material up here that resembles leather, it's really made out of fungal mycelium. There's also this other initiative where there's mycelium based sort of like styrofoam. So, styrofoam is made of plastic, it's not biodegradable, and it causes lots of problems with contamination because it's everywhere. And a company came up with the idea of making a mycelium-based styrofoam so that you can ship things and then you can just throw it wherever and it'll naturally degrade because it's made of mushrooms, mycelium material. There's also this super interesting idea. I think it's an initiative from Denmark, and they came up with this idea called living coffin, where basically all of the inside of the coffin, and I believe also the outside, it's made of mycelium. So the idea is that you would put a person that passed away, you would put it inside here and the coffin would naturally decompose the person. So instead of using a coffin that it's just going to be under earth for who knows how long, then you can instead use this living coffin where eventually the person that's put inside here is going to turn into soil together with the coffin and everything that's inside it, which is mostly mushrooms. And then also mushrooms have been used, and fungi just in general have been used to extract a huge variety of dyes. All of these colors that you see right here were extracted from all sorts of different fungi, from fruiting bodies to mycelia to lichens to just a wide variety of fungi. And you can see how bright some of these colors are. And just in general, fungi are very nutritious. There's tons of recipes that you can do with them. There's many different types of fungi. You can see them here. This is one type. This is another type. This is another type. This is another type. You can see Huitlacoche right here. These are chanterelles. There's just many different types of edible mushrooms, and all of them have a slightly different taste. Actually, some mushrooms are super expensive, like truffles, and they have a very exquisite taste and very flavorful. In addition to that, they have a lot of protein, and protein extracted from, or protein obtained from mushrooms is very nutritious, and it is comparable to chicken and soy. So you can see here in this picture, this is the protein from mushrooms. They called it mycoprotein. You can see chicken protein, and then you can see soy protein, and you can see that it's very, very similar. In terms of nutrition facts, you can see that mushrooms are free of fat. They have very few carbohydrates, and they are high in protein for non-meat product. And then you can see there's a ton of vitamins, and actually mushrooms have vitamin B, which I think it's the only source of vitamin B that is actually vegan. So vegans don't eat any animal products, and you get vitamin B mostly from animal products, and mushrooms are the only ones that can give you those vitamins without eating any animal products. And just in general, right now, fungi are being sort of like rediscovered. People are realizing that fungi have so many uses, and that we can take advantage of them. We can take advantage of everything that they have to give us. They can be used in the water industry to clean pollution of water. They're used in the pharma industry because fungi produce an incredible amount of antibiotics. We can use them for extraction of other sorts of chemicals because fungi produce a ton of different enzymes. And just in general, we can use fungi for so many different things. And I hope that with this mini presentation, this has opened your eyes a little bit to the wonderful world of fungi and all of the things that we can actually get from them.